What happened in my husband's absence only God, my steps, and I know. It was never in my plans to deceive him, but at some point things got out of hand, and consequently the guilt will gnaw at my conscience for the rest of my life. I never felt ready enough to have children, but I fell in love with Ethan, and by then, he already had Andrew in his care, so I had to choose between giving up love or becoming his stepmother, and finally I opted for the second option. Andrew is no longer a child, and although I have done everything in my power to earn his respect and affection, it has been like plowing in the sea. It all started when Ethan had to go on a trip for work reasons, so Andrew and I had to stay home alone for a few weeks. The first few days, I returned home late. According to him, he was having fun with his friends. In his father's absence, he was my responsibility, even though he had already reached the age of majority, so I complained to him and demanded that he comply with the schedule that Ethan had established at 11 o'clock at home. As expected, he laughed in my face and continued arriving long after the agreed time. I decided it was time to teach him good manners, so I got rid of his car keys while he was sleeping, and his reaction was unexpected. So you don't want me to be up too late, and in that case, the fun will come here. You'll see, you're going to regret this, said. The rest of the day I was alone at home, but when night came, Andrew arrived with his friends, and until that moment my peace lasted. They turned the music on at full volume, started drinking and smoking. Eventually others arrived to join the party until there were so many strangers in the house that I was forced to call their attention. It was very late. I covered myself with a robe and went downstairs. The house was messy. There were pizza boxes, empty bottles, and glasses everywhere. The first thing I did was lower the volume of the music to prevent the neighbors from coming to complain about us. That group of young people was so intoxicated that they didn't even notice the difference. I walked around the living room and pool area looking for Andrew. There were boys and girls lying everywhere on the couches on the floor, even behind the kitchen counter. I couldn't find Andrew anywhere. I turned off the music and asked everyone to leave. However, it was like talking to walls. No one moved from where they were, and I felt completely frustrated. I even threatened to call the police. But that didn't work either. As I headed towards the phone, Andrew appeared. Listen to me well, Andrew. If you think that you will get your way with this, you are very wrong. Some of the things they are doing here are not legal, and if I call the police, you can get your father in big trouble, and you will be in big trouble too. I told him, but I didn't expect a good reaction from him since he was visibly drunk. Then I'll stop complaining, you make my ears pop. I'll tell you the witch put an end to the fun, he said and started running them all away. I took a deep breath. I had finally managed to win one. Or at least that's what I thought at that moment. So I decided to go back to bed, hoping that everything would be in order the next day. To my surprise, it was. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. The house was spotless, as if last night's disaster had never happened. Good morning. There's coffee in the kitchen, if you want. I'm late for work. Bye, Andrew said, and walked out the door. I was confused. Andrew had never made coffee, much less said good morning in his father's absence. I pinched myself to make sure I wasn't still sleeping, but it was all very real. I felt happy, but the next moment I was anxious. That boy must be up to something bad, I thought. His behavior was totally different from usual, or perhaps he had matured. Impossible. No one changes like that overnight, literally. Just in case, I decided to stay alert. The next few days, Andrew's strange behavior continued. He continued to be kind and attentive, which both impressed and alarmed me. He even asked my permission to invite some friends to the house. Can Andy and Michael come tonight? We won't bother you. We'll just play the console and they'll leave early, said. Of course, no problem. I responded, really impressed that he seemed to start showing me respect and even giving me some authority. At night, the boys came home, just as Andrew said. They greeted me kindly and I offered them some dinner. Then they settled down to play with the console in the living room and I decided to go to sleep. I took the pill that I used for that purpose and I dedicated myself to read for a while. When my eyes became heavy, I turned off the light and felt completely asleep. The next day, everything was still calm. However, Andrew's behavior became even stranger. He began to approach me in a way he never had before. "Good morning," he said and kissed me on the cheek. I was almost in shock. "Good morning, are you okay?" I asked for. "Good. I wanted to know if you would like to have something different for dinner today. I feel like ordering Italian food and maybe drinking some wine. Would you like that?" He asked and I was beginning to worry. Where was the old Andrew? "What is the occasion?" Said. "None in particular. I just thought it would be cute. You can even wear that cool dress you have in the closet, of course, if you want." He answered. "Okay, I'm encouraged." I responded and he left for work, but first he kissed me on the cheek again, and this time I could even feel his hand on my hip. That gesture was as strange as everything in the last few days, but I didn't give it any importance. I spent the whole day thinking about it, asking myself if I should stay alert or trust. In this pleasant change my steps and was demonstrating. After all, he was finally being nice to me. He is his way of thanking me for not writing him out to Ethan. But it's not the first time I've kept our problems away from him, and he's never even said a thank you to me before. As the end of the afternoon approached, I took advantage of being alone at home and took a bubble bath to relax. Well, I did a little more than that to relax. I also got a little naughty and sent some photos to my husband. I missed him so much I tried to call him to have a romantic conversation and spoil ourselves a little. But he didn't answer my call, he was probably busy. So I decided to do it on my own. I put on my robe and lay down on the bed. I closed my eyes and started to fantasize while using my own hand as a consolation for my loneliness. Minutes later, I thanked myself because that had really made me relax. At that moment, I decided to give Andrew a vote of confidence and even put on the dress he mentioned to compensate for his kind attentions. By the time he got home, I was ready, so I opened the door to agree him. "Wow, you look radiant. I'm glad you decided to do this," he said, as he walked past with the bags of food towards the dining room. I helped him serve it while he filled our glasses with wine. We sat down to eat, and that's where things took an unexpected turn. "How was your day?" I asked for. "Pretty good, although not better than yours," he responded, smiling. At that moment, I noticed a strange shine in his eyes. I thought it was my ideas and I let it go, but I was left with a disturbing feeling. "So why do you say so?" I asked with an eager smile. "You know, you were a little busy, right? Talking to Dad," he said, and I was surprised. How did he know that he had been talking to his father? Maybe he just sensed it because we talked every day, I thought. Yes, he is very well. By the way, he sent his regards to you." I replied, "But to know, thank you very much." "And what happened next? Was I too busy to assist you with that delicious crack you made later?" he said. And there was that sparkle in his eyes again and a smile that worried me instantly. How could he know what I was doing that afternoon in my room? What was this game about? "What are you talking about?" "I don't know what you're talking about," I said and started to feel nervous. "Come on, we are both adults. I have needs too." "I understand you," he answered, still smiling and winking at me. "I don't know what all this is about, but I think this conversation is not appropriate. Andrew, I'm your stepmother. Don't forget it." I told him that I put my plate aside. "I no longer have an appetite." "Oh, please don't be like that. I don't forget it. I have it very clear. And thanks to that, I plan to get some extra income, you know?" said. "But what are you talking about? Did you consume anything before coming?" The things he was telling me didn't make sense, and I was already starting to get worried. I didn't know if he was under the influence of some substance, which was not unusual for him, or if it was something more serious than what he really had to worry. "Okay, I'm going to show you so you can know what I'm talking about," he said and stood next to me to show me his cell phone. I paid attention to the screen and a video started playing. It was my room and I was in bed. That was me this afternoon, having an intimate moment, completely exposed and stored in the memory of my Stepson cell phone. "What is this? Where did you get it from? Why do you have a video of me?" I got up exalted. "I haven't shared it with anyone yet. But if you want me to delete it, you will have to spend the night with me. Said. You're crazy. How dare you? I said and raised my hand to hit him. But he held it in the air and stared at me. That's not the only video I have. You might want to reconsider my offer. He said and started playing another video on his mobile. It was captured from the same angle. It was me. I was completely asleep. Suddenly, Andrew and his friends entered the room. I was motionless, fast asleep. That must have happened the night Andrew invited them to the house after I had taken the sleeping pill. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. The images were worse as the video progressed. They played with me as if I were a rag doll. I felt sick and wanted to vomit. How did I not wake up? How could they do that to me? You must be wondering why you didn't wake up at that time. I'll tell you, I changed the pills in the bottle for stronger ones, and we set up the camera. Right before we recorded all this. The video continues. Do you want to finish watching it, or is that enough to wait for you? In my bed? Andrew said, Are you sick? I can't believe you did that. I told him at that moment I didn't know what to think or how to react. I was extremely angry and nervous that this video would be released. Come on, I'll delete it as soon as we're done. I just want to have some fun, he said, approaching me. I didn't have much time. I had to decide what was most convenient for me, and although I know that he is unforgivable, I agreed to his request. I followed him to his room, I put the dress aside, and I could see how his eyes lit up. I admit that I didn't have as bad a time as I thought, but I couldn't ignore the fact that what we were doing was wrong. I just closed my eyes and tried to leave my mind blank. I focused only on what my other senses perceived. Andrew had his way once again that day, turning me into his doll and playing with me until he was satisfied. I can still remember the way he wanted to show me that he always gets what he wants. It wasn't subtle or careful, he simply indulged his whims. At that moment I understood that if I really wanted to get rid of those videos, I had to please him, so I did. I acceded to each of his whims, even if they were apparent to me. I dedicated myself to every part of him like an expert. At some point I decided that would be my revenge. Give him an experience so good that he would want to repeat it and never allow him that again. I became fire and showed him everything a woman can do when she is attracted to a man. I was intense, attentive, and dedicated, with the intention of burning him so deeply that it would not only mark me, but him too. I felt that despite the circumstances, I was in control at that moment, and I looked him in the eyes to show him that not even with that vile act could he break me. That malicious shine that he had in his eyes was replaced by a different gesture, that of a lamb that is afraid of being hunted in the forest. I used all the weapons that nature and experience gave me over the years, and when I was done with him, he'd apologize for what he had done. I took it, squeezed it, and left it like a rag. Delete the videos right now, I want to see you doing it, said. He got up, took his phone, and deleted the videos in front of me. Then he tried to apologize again and thank me for giving him the best experience of his life. But I didn't want to listen to him. I grabbed my things and went straight to my room, located the camera in the corner, ripped it out and threw it on the floor. Then I stepped on it until it was completely destroyed. That event marked both Andrew and myself. He is no longer even able to see my face. On more than one occasion he has tried to talk to me to ask for forgiveness, but I will never forgive him for what he did. I only asked that his father never find out, and he agreed to keep it a secret. Shortly after, Andrew moved into an apartment downtown, and we only see him occasionally. Next month I will move to Madrid with Ethan, and I hope to never have to see him again. Tell me in the comments what you think of my story. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you very much, and until next time.